The work of Second Lady of the United States, Dr. Jill Biden, reminds us of the importance of language and literature, of the arts and sciences for students seeking their place in the contemporary American economy. Dr. Biden received her Master of Arts degree in English from Villanova in 1991. And during her time as Second Lady, she has worked full-time as a professor of English at Northern Virginia Community College, where her students know her simply as Dr. B. They come from all sectors of American society and from all over the world, and she teaches them the essential skills of reading critically and writing clearly. Dr. Biden has been an avid student in her own life, receiving no less than 3 graduate degrees. She uses the knowledge she has cultivated as an advanced scholar of education and English to empower those whose voices might not otherwise be heard. In addition to serving as a national spokesperson for community colleges, she's also a vocal proponent of breast cancer awareness and a passionate advocate for military families, spreading the word about their struggles and encouraging communities and employers to remember their sacrifices. Father President, for her work as an educator, her commitment to the humanities, and her service to the United States as Second Lady, I am honored to present to you, for the degree of Doctor of Humanities, honoris causa, Dr. Jill Biden.
In the name of the Board of Trustees and the faculty of Villanova University, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Humanities, honoris causa. Congratulations.
Father Donahue, thank you for that honor, and thank you, Dr. Hicks, for that very kind introduction. And Nina, you did a beautiful job when you got up to speak. Of all the thousands of people here, I could tell who Nina's families were. Good afternoon, everyone, or actually, I guess, good evening. It's wonderful to be here at Villanova to celebrate such an important day with each one of you and your families. To my fellow teachers, congratulations on finishing another successful year. I also want to recognize the members of the military who are graduating today. Thank you for your service. As Second Lady, as a lifelong educator, and as a proud Villanova graduate, it is truly my honor to be here with all of you. I'm a Philly girl. I grew up in Willow Grove, straight down Broad Street. My childhood was spent crossing the Tacony-Palmyra Bridge every single weekend with my entire family. 5 sisters would pile into our car without seatbelts and drive to South Jersey to visit my grandparents. Along the way, we would pass pretzel vendors on the street corners, but we'd never stop. We didn't ask because we never had any extra money. My summers were spent watching the Phillies with my dad on a black and white Philco TV. As a teenager, I waitressed at the Shore. I ran the Race for the Cure, Broad Street 10-miler, and the Philadelphia Half Marathon. I watched the Mummers Parade and spent my class field trips at the Fells Planetarium and the Betsy Ross House. I skated in the winters on the canals of Washington's Crossing. Growing up, I knew early what I wanted in life: a marriage like my parents, maybe kids, definitely a career. Although things didn't necessarily happen in that order, I did get all three, but it wasn't always easy. As I matured, I became more aware of the changes that were happening all around me. I couldn't see it clearly at the time, but a new counterculture was emerging that would seep into America's psyche, spurred on by Vietnam and the draft, the feminist revolution, the increasing use of so-called recreational drugs, greater awareness that our planet's resources were finite, student unrest on campuses like Kent State, where I personally knew one of the students who was shot but survived, racial inequality and the struggle for civil rights, and the cruel loss of our heroes, Martin Luther King Jr. and John Kennedy. I had to grow up, and perhaps like many of you here today, I learned that growing up sometimes takes stepping up. During your years here at Villanova, you have seen the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan winding down, dire predictions about climate change and effects of global warming, revolutions for democracy spurred by social media use in countries around the globe, and the continued struggle for civil rights, especially related to women's issues and in our new definition of what makes a family. So when I sat down to write this speech, I asked myself, what is it that I could say that would matter? Because quite frankly, I can't remember one word from any of my graduations, nor can I remember any of the speakers. My answer? What matters is what we have in common, our compassion for one another in what binds us together. Although we each carry our own hesitancies, our own fears, we each have our own capacity to dream, hope, give, and receive in return. So I thought I'd tell you briefly 3 things I found that matter in life. The first lesson is one that I try to impart to my own students. It's one that I didn't always recognize, especially when I was facing my own setbacks. And it's this: everyone around us is struggling. And it's during those trying times when you have to really rely on your inner strength and your faith, whatever that means for you. I've been in the classroom teaching for more than 30 years. One day this semester, I was telling my students that I would miss our next class for personal reasons. Of course, they have no filter or sense of privacy, and they were shouting out, "Where are you going to be, Dr. B?" So I told them. My sister Jan is having a stem cell transplant. That's her first treatment, and she will have to stay in the same hospital room for 6 weeks, and I need to be with her. I turned to face the chalkboard because the words caught in my throat. I just needed a moment. When I turned back to face my students, the entire class was standing, lined up to give me hugs, one by one. They took my breath away. And that leads me to my second point, the power of a small act of kindness. My son Bo deployed to Iraq for a year in October of 2008. That was a very tough year for our entire family. A military family goes through a lot during deployment. For my daughter-in-law, Hallie, and my grandchildren, Hunter and Natalie, there were so many moments, some big, many small, when Bo's absence cast a long shadow. Like any child, Natalie had trouble understanding why her daddy couldn't be with her to celebrate her 5th birthday. The holidays were difficult for our whole family because we always spent them together. We tried to keep our spirits up with our regular traditions, but the empty chair at the table was a painful reminder of Bo's absence. What kept us going were the many people who found ways to support our family that year through so many acts of kindness. A neighbor shoveled after a snowstorm. Friends brought meals. Our church included Bo's name on the prayer list. At Natalie's school, her teacher hung a photo of Bo's unit on the wall of the classroom so everyone would know that Natalie's daddy was at war. That meant so much to our entire family. Those small acts of kindness are a big part of why First Lady Michelle Obama and I started our Joining Forces initiative 3 years ago, so that all Americans would be inspired to take action on behalf of our troops and military families. I challenge all of the graduates here today to commit to their own act of kindness as we wind down the war in Afghanistan and our troops return home. I'm sure every single person in this room can think of a time when someone did something seemingly small that really made a big difference for you. A stranger picked up the tab for your coffee when you forgot your wallet. A teacher said she believed in you and pushed you a little further on a project. A friend asked how you were doing and took the time to listen. These are pretty simple things, but they are things that can change your day. Those acts of kindness stacked up day after day over a lifetime can make all the difference. I hope you understand its power and try to find a way to use it every single day. You will be surprised at how much of a difference you can make for those around you and by how much better you will feel yourself. The third and final lesson is to have confidence in yourself and don't let anything stand in the way of your goals. I see this over and over again in the community college where I teach. Students who are facing significant challenges but are determined to get their education so that they can build a better life for themselves. I helped one woman who was writing her scholarship essay to a 4-year university. Her path had not been easy. She left an abusive relationship and was homeless, living in her car with her kids. Once she got into a homeless shelter, she was encouraged to attend a community college, where I met her as part of the Women's Mentoring Project. She went on to a 4-year university where she is working to earn her accounting degree with confidence that she is on the path to a better life for herself and her family. I have many students who come to the United States from all different countries all over the world. Another semester, I was teaching a course on refugees. One student attending the community college was one of the lost boys of the Sudan, part of the more than 20,000 boys displaced and orphaned in the Second Sudanese Civil War. He had lost his entire family when he was only 10 years old. Everything he had known growing up was different here in the United States. Yet, he was persistent, doing everything he could to finish his education. He completed his associate's degree and is now working to help other young boys find their path in the world. As Second Lady, I have seen this over and over. Ordinary people, often facing extraordinary challenges, staying true to themselves to reach their dreams. Teachers who stay late, who spend their own money on classroom materials, and are always dreaming up creative lessons, who are there for their students 24 hours, 7 days a week, because teaching is who they are. Veterans who return home and transition out of the military, who use their training to continue to serve their communities as medics, nurses, firefighters, and teachers. Young mothers in the poorest slums in the world, in Africa and India, who decide to stay in their villages so that they can help educate young girls. Young women like those in Nigeria and Pakistan who risked their lives to receive an education, which we take so for granted. The Villanova motto is Veritas, Unitas, Caritas. Truth, unity, love. These are the values you have been surrounded by here, a community dedicated to pursuing knowledge as well as a commitment to serving others. During the time I was earning my master's degree here, I was also teaching full-time and raising 3 small children. I remember so clearly the hour-long drive each way a few nights a week, and this was before the Blue Route. To get to classes, it was a lot at once. But I loved what I found here. The intellectual rigor of the classes, the supportive values of the community, and even though it took me 15 years to earn 2 master's degrees and eventually my doctorate, I kept at it because I knew teaching was my passion. And along the way, I picked up those 3 lessons. Everybody struggles. A little act of kindness can make a huge difference. And it's not easy to have the confidence to stay true to your goals. You may have to step back, dig deep, refocus, rely on your inner strength, but persevere. Let me end with one more thought that is reflected in all of these lessons. Show your heart to the world. Pope Francis recently paraphrased St. Ignatius by saying, quote, "Love is expressed more clearly in actions than in words." So graduates, I hope you keep sharing your time, your skills that you learned here at Villanova, and your heart with the rest of the world. On behalf of President Obama and the First Lady and the Vice President, we are so proud of you. We look forward to all that is to come. Congratulations, and God bless you.